now, Kresse.
Does it work? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're on the train.
I'm on a train. I'm on a train between Manchester and Liverpool.
Oh, it is a bit of a poor connection.
There were no tickets to Liverpool.
Oh, bugger. It is a bit of a poor connection. So you tell me what works. Do you want to move you down and we'll do Alan and you'll be in a more comfortable and a more reliable network to be able to talk, or are you on the train for the foreseeable future?
I might be on the train for the foreseeable future, so I could make just a few really quick points, if that helps.
Well, I mean, we have the time for you. I'm just concerned about the signal because I know it's not within your control on a train.
No, it's everything is slightly delayed today, but I mean, it's extremely difficult to follow Ursula. So I basically want to make a few points. Hopefully this will make sense. Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're a little low in volume, but we can hear you.
Okay, I'll try to make it a bit louder. I'll try to use the earphones. I think I hard agree with everything Ursula said. We don't need any new materials. We don't need any new textiles. We simply need to participate in the natural system that everybody is already in. So we have to take ourselves back to the position where we're part of the ecosystem instead of trying to sit at the top of a pyramid. So I'm seeing people can't hear me at all. Turn up your volume if you can't hear me.
We've got it at full. You are a bit on the low side for sure, but it does look like a few people are having challenges. So we were lucky to get Kresse to participate, and she's on her way to giving a speech to the Labour Party, I believe, right? So maybe
I've stopped my video. Does that help?
Actually, you know what? That sometimes does make a difference. So let's give it a go, and we'll see how well we can hear you.
Okay, I am really sorry. All I really want to add is that I think we need to go beyond what we thought was sustainable a long time ago. We absolutely cannot stick at sustainability. We have to think about what we can contribute beyond that. And that's because if we purely stick with sustainability at this point, then we're still in a horse race with catastrophe, and catastrophe is winning. The biggest thing for us when we started was that we promised to only use waste materials. And for 18 years, we have stuck with using waste materials. And we thought that would be enough, but it was never enough. So over the last 3 years, we've set in motion a regenerative pathway at Elvis and Kresse, because it's not enough to rescue fire hoses. It's not enough to make something beautiful out of them. It's not enough to turn it into luggage that people can use for a long time. It's not enough to repair that. It's not enough to donate 50% of our profits to charity. So a few years ago, we bought a farm because we thought we could only really contribute in a regenerative sense if we took charge of a degraded ecosystem. We found the worst possible farm we could, where the previous owners had run a turf cutting business, so they had sold the topsoil. This is a farm that SAS has come to see in its very early stages. And we put in place a massive biodiversity project. We have brought water to the site. We treat our own sewage in a natural wetland-based system. We planted over 3,000 trees and 2,000 other kinds of plants to maximize biodiversity. And we're only using compost and compost tea to bring the soil back into health. And I think the most fascinating thing about this journey is that this is a journey that a handbag brand is going on, because it's the most important journey we could go on. We need to be an active part of the food system. We need to be an active part of the natural system. And we need to prove that you don't have to stay in your lane and only do one thing. We're at a time now, we're at a crossroads where we genuinely have to do everything all at once. I love the title of the movie last year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because I think that's what it feels like to be not just a designer, but also a climate activist and also a responsible citizen. And I think the one offer I really want to make to the people in this group is that if you need a break, because I know a lot of you are tired and this is incredibly difficult work, please come to the farm for a recharge. We're in Kent. It's about an hour from London. We have a little 1-bedroom cottage where we are already hosting soil scientists and PhD students who are coming just to be in nature and listen to the owls and try and understand how we could not just be a business in an economic system, but be an active contributing part of restoring an ecosystem. And I do think this is something that all companies can be involved in. I think it's a little bit, I think it's a little bit scary. We don't know what we're doing. I had grandparents that were farmers, but that doesn't mean that I know what that looks like or what that means. I just know that it's not enough to just be a handbag brand, not in the time that we've got, not with the crisis that we're facing. So that I guess my key point is that no matter what you're doing, you can always do a lot more. And every time, I think this was the biggest thing that opened this decision to us was that when we first got wind of the pandemic, we already had a farm plan. We already had a net regenerative plan in place, but we thought this is quite a scary thing, this pandemic. It's not as scary as climate change, but it is pretty scary. So maybe if we're all going to die, now is the time to do all of the adventurous things all at once. And that is actually how we're living now. And it's the most fun we've ever had. So please do, come to the website, follow the farm news, get to understand regenerative agriculture, what it looks like to be a soil first farmer. But also, feel free to come and see the workshop we built out of straw bales. It generates more energy than it uses. We clean more water than we consume. So we've actually put architecture and infrastructure in place to be a regenerative actor in this system. There's a lovely handy picture of the website. Actually, if you go to that's a natural rainwater collection pond that I'm sitting next to with my dog. That's some of the lovely flowers that we have in our local village. That's Elvis standing near Whitstable. So these are all pictures that are on our website, but they're all pictures we take largely on the farm and largely of what we do. I know the connection's really poor, so thank you so much for bearing with me. If anyone has any particular questions, I'd love to answer those, but I can't add to what Ursula said. She is my fairy godmother, certainly the pioneer in upcycling, and the rest of us, we're just so happy to be able to benefit from the path that she created. And we do have enough materials. What we don't have is enough people with true creative ambition. And by creativity, I mean, there's no time for any destructive practices or any exploitation of any people. That's what a designer needs to design at this point. You can only design a business, the kind of business that is going to be part of the regeneration. Right. So thank you so much. This is quite tricky and difficult because I'm trying to balance a laptop on my knee, but really appreciate being able to join in the capacity that I can.
Kresse, we're really, really grateful for you making the time. I know it's been hugely challenging. You had other commitments and the trains and whatever else has not been your friend today. And so I hope the rest of your day goes a little bit more to plan and more smoothly. But we do hear you loud and clear now. So if you're okay, I wouldn't mind asking a couple of questions of you, because I have had the pleasure of visiting your
absolutely.
And descended upon you with 34 MA fashion sustainable students who ran rampant over your farm. But I'm really interested in you. There were so many initiatives that you had on the farm with your natural pond filtration systems that you were using that were, eye-opening to me, because obviously I know you as an upcycling brand and a beautiful brand that upcycles decommissioned firemen's hoses. But here you are now also simultaneously, I think you were you were composting other people's waste, not only your own, right? Taking it from the local surrounding businesses, yes?
Yes, and I think we've taken upcycling to the extreme because we upcycle our own sewage and our own wastewater. You know, these are things that our crazy government thinks are acceptable to put directly into rivers. And actually, they're extremely useful. They're full of wonderful macronutrients. And if you build an ecosystem around them, you can generate enormous amount of carbon sequestration through growing willow, growing reeds, growing nut trees, growing fruit, all of that fed by the macronutrients that are in our waste and wastewater. There is sort of simply no reason for us to view sewage even as a waste that is beneath upcycling. We also collect waste from farm shops. We collect waste from tree surgeons. We collect waste from other local farms. We collect organic cow manure. We collect seaweed that's been a plague to lots of the North Kent beaches this year. And all of that exists in our local ecosystem, and all of it can be transformed through composting into unbelievable fertilizer for the land. There aren't any toxins in the fire hoses that we collect. I just saw a question come in. If a fire hose has been to a chemical fire, we don't get those. They do get separated out. So yeah, there is a one type of fire hose waste that we can't get, and it's one that's been exposed to chemicals like that.
You now work with a lot of different sources, though, don't you? I know you initially started, and it's still your main material is the decommissioned fireman's hoses, but you do actually work with a lot of materials now, don't you?
Yes, so there's fire hoses. We collect the leather waste from Burberry. So these are the offcuts of from their production facilities in Italy. We collect tea sack waste. So as tea gets imported into the UK, these giant paper sacks, we collect them, separate out the layers, and we actually reuse the paper that's in tea sacks. We collect printing blankets, which is kind of a giant stamp pad associated with the offset printing industry. We collect parachutes, we collect sailcloth, we collect coffee sacks, we collect pretty much anything that we can get our hands on that doesn't fit within a natural, within the recycling systems we've got in the UK, which are extremely limited. So any of the materials we generally look at, they're the niche wastes that do not have a home yet. They are the tricky wastes. They don't always exist in huge volume, but I have to tell you, leather waste in Western Europe is something around the 35,000 ton mark. And it's a prime example of why we need upcycling, because this is material that just because it's in small pieces gets rejected because it's got mosquito bites on it or stretch marks or the things that make leather natural in the first place. And it's never seen the light of day. In the case of the leather, we're not even talking about a pernicious waste. We're talking about something that's clean and never been used and exists in design houses where people have kind of missed the point about what design actually is.
And one of your solutions has been to do interconnecting patchworks of tiny pieces to then make larger materials to make your bags from, right?
Yes. So lots of the wastes that we collect are in small pieces. So we've worked with, or we've kind of developed a few different geometries that allow us to put those together and create big surfaces. So in the leather, for example, we've done a giant tapestry that was 40 feet long and 10 feet high and now sits behind the front desk of a hotel in America, and is probably the most circular project that we've ever done, because the deal we made with the hotel was that they could have that tapestry, but only on the promise that if they ever decide to refresh their lobby, that material will be for us to reinvent as new products back to the hotel again. So it's designed not to die. It's designed precisely to be like like Lego and be circular.
And if I remember, when I was at the farm, you actually issued a challenge, I think, right, about not the tea sacks, what are they called? The materials that tea is imported in, because they're multiple layers and there's foil and all sorts of things in there for my students or anybody else for that matter.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, because right now I collect, if you think of who Yorkshire tea is, okay? If I collect Yorkshire tea sacks, I can collect 2 hours of their tea sack waste and it will last me a year. This is an enormous problem, and certainly a business of my size is not going to solve it on my own. The the only way we're ever going to solve it is if we have lots of people working on that problem. And we are working on a whole host of different R&D projects to do with TSAC. But yes, whenever groups come, I pose it as a challenge to them because I need all the help I can get.
Okay, perfect. So we'll let you go and move on because I know that it's challenging doing this on a train, but I really want to thank you for your time and for agreeing to do this. So thank you very much.
No, thank you very much for including me, guys. Hope you have an absolutely lovely day. And don't worry, I'm going to chase this hopefully new government about having a national waste strategy and extended producer responsibility and all those things that will make an upcycling revolution possible.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kresse. You be well. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.